situation in terms of the African continent and the world, and also the recent developments in terms of South Africa-US relations. We'll deal with that, the implications of that for our country, and what necessary steps that we need to take to safeguard, among others, our sovereignty. But most importantly, how do we ensure that South Africa as a country that we belong to does, live up to its obligations in the bilateral relations with nations, but also in terms of its obligations when it comes to multilateral forums. So that will be the main discussion today and tomorrow. That tells you that we will be much focused and zoom in on the global situation, which is very much important for the African National Congress, but for South Africa as a whole. And then we will deal with organizational matters on the third or second day in terms of our program. The Secretary General will table the annual report of the ANC. This will be our second annual report that will table as guided by the Constitution and obligated by the ANC Constitution to deliver the annual report of the African National Congress. But this annual report will be accompanied by yet another resolution of conference where we will table leadership accountability survey of the ANC. It's the first time it was resolved in the national conference. As part of the renewal agenda, we have done this survey and then we'll present to the National Executive Committee. And we hope to share that survey with you post the National Executive Committee in terms of the ANC leadership survey, accountability of leadership survey. We will then from there deal with matters that are more internal, reporting on the National Working Committee report on the work that we have undertaken in the past 2 months as the National Working Committee at an organizational level, visiting provinces, implementing decisions of the NEC, reconfiguring provinces, and then fighting by-elections. And at the same time, dealing with matters of the program of action like membership, organization building, and at the same time, political education programs of the ANC. So that's what the report in the main will deal with. The last part of our report will deal with normal issues in terms of standard items of the agenda. That happens in every meeting, like minutes and so on. So those are not key political matters that have got an impact on the environmental situation politically of our country. And the President will then deliver the closing remarks on Monday in terms of our tasks. In this meeting, there will be a report that will be given of the Integrity Commission by Reverend Chikani. He will deliver the Integrity Commission report in terms of its recommendations. And I'm not privy to disclose yet as to what are those matters that he will deliver. The cases that they've been dealing with will only announce after the meeting of the NEC, including what are the recommendations and the decisions of the NEC on the recommendations of the Integrity Commission reports that would have been delivered. Integrity Commission is a permanent, is got a permanent feature in the agenda of the NEC, as would have announced some years back. We'll also receive a report called investigative report from a committee that was selected by the NEC by Mam Thembi Majola Comrade Tembi Majola, a report on investigating the lease processes in the ANC. You know that there were provinces that were affected by the lease, Gauteng, KZN, as well as Northwest. That report is complete. It will be presented to the NEC with recommendations so that we perfect our processes. So that is our National Executive Committee in terms of the issues that we'll be dealing with for this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, SG. I'm going to take hands. Let's try and be crisp. ENC?
SG Fikile Mbalula Doorstop from ANC. Just going to update on the discussions with the SACP. Are you aligning? What's the update there? Number two, I want to get your reaction on the Constitutional Court decision which refused AfriForum's bid to leave to appeal the Kill the Boer judgment. Trying to transform that chant did not constitute hate speech. What's your view on that? Do you think that this chant, despite its historical struggle, should be put away for the ability of striving for social cohesion and not sowing divisions amongst that?
There will be a discussion on reconfiguration of the alliance. The National Executive Committee will discuss the reconfiguration of the alliance, which will then inform our approach to what the South African Communist Party have resolved in terms of their Congress about standing on their own. We have resolved in our national conference that the reconfiguration will be finalized by the National Executive Committee. That's what we're going to do in this meeting. So we are dealing with that. We are also going to give a report on our bilateral with the SACP, which was a very cordial meeting that we had with the Communist Party. And we have agreed after our meeting to meet and then engage on reconfiguration based on our discussions in the National Executive Committee. That will happen, that discussion, somewhere on Sunday and Monday, that discussion. We respect the decisions of the courts. The highest court in the land have decided that the chant, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, equate, as it would have been defined as part of the history struggle songs, that in terms of that judgment, it is very clear that there is nothing that seeks to suggest anything else other than it being a chant. And that's what the Constitutional Court has resolved. And we hope that those who brought the matter before the Constitutional Court can find peace at that. As the ANC, we're not chanting kill the Boer, kill the farmer, because we don't believe it is relevant at the present moment. But we wouldn't stop others from chanting. It is not banned, it is not illegal, as it is now defined by the Constitutional Court. But as an ANC, we don't think that chanting that slogan is relevant to the cause at the present moment. We wouldn't chant that slogan. Neither will we actually water it down by saying kiss the Boer. Because when we chant that slogan, it had a particular meaning about guerrillas who were fighting across the Limpopo, coming back home, and then confronting the commandos in the battlefront, particularly in the Limpopo, and being killed there, infiltrating the country and coming back home. The background to it then meant, as a chant in the camps, as we prepared to infiltrate the country, the slogan came up, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, because these farmers were acting as commandos of the South African Defence Force, which belonged to apartheid. We don't have commandos now. We don't have defense force. We don't have threats of farmers who are collaborating with an unjust state. We have a democratic state. So for us in the ANC, there's no justification to insist on singing kill the Boer, kill the farmer. The focus for us now is transformation, and transformation the economy for the best interest of others. But we cannot prescribe to other political parties with what they must sing, what they must chant, what they cannot chant. So that's where we stand in relation to that matter.
Very much. I will take
Please, this is how are the discussions on the budget?
I've explained at the beginning that as we go back, we will reflect on the global situation and domestic, and the president will deliver the political overview. And that political overview cannot escape the question of the budget, including giving a feedback on our discussions with everybody around the budget. Obviously, the NEC, in its wisdom, will ventilate and deal with that matter. At the end of this meeting, we will assert the ANC position on the matter, guided by the NEC. If there's anything new from what we have asserted earlier on when the budget was passed, but should anything arise from the NEC in its wisdom in terms of the budget issue, we will communicate that. But it will not escape the discussion and the engagement of the National Executive Committee, because it is absolutely important that the budget must be passed, and it cannot escape the political engagements in this meeting in terms of the domestic issues.
SABC.
Mr. Mbalula, I know that you just said right now that you will send the ANC's position later on in the budget. But just in terms of the negotiations perhaps around the budget, is it true that the DA wrote a letter to the president?
Sorry, is the DA what?
Is it true that the DA wrote a letter to the president, accepting the VAT increase, but making demands for the scrapping of things like the expropriation act? Furthermore, perhaps the ANC's reaction to Brent Bozell's nomination as the next ambassador to South Africa, and your lastly, finally about his championship to the Democratic.
First, with regard to the budget, it has been an item of engagement in the context of the GNU between political parties, and also between the head of state and his colleagues in the executive. And I do not want to dispel the question you are asking about the letter written to the president. It is possible that the DA could have written that letter. They have not written to us. It means they have written to the president in his capacity as the president of the country. But I can confirm that there's been engagement on the question of the budget at the level of the parliament between the ANC and political parties. That will include the DA. And those discussions are not closed. And we're continuing with that particular engagement. As the ANC, we are not confining ourselves only to 0.5% increase. We're looking globally to the budget as it stands, with political parties, whether there is there are issues that people are raising in terms of the budget. You must understand that we have not engaged prior with the budget before. This is uncharted waters, and the fact that the budget could have come to the point of engagement post its presentation is a result of the post-2024 elections. So which means our approach to the budget going to the future based on this experience will be totally different. It means it will involve engagement also with political parties going forward. That includes the ANC, among others, because you will know right from the onset, we did not feel comfortable with the 2% increase, but we had to back down from that to 0.5, based on the facts on the table in terms of balancing the budget and addressing the gap in terms of the budget, in terms of what needs to happen with the budget going forward, because we also agree with others that borrowing is out of the window. We agree with others in terms of the budget that we need to relook at our spending. And the president have established a committee or commission around that. We need to look into that. We agree on those questions. The thorny issue seemed to be the 0.5, but nobody provide alternatives as to where is the shortfall in terms of the budget going to come from. And these are the fundamentals we need to address with others. So we're not closing anything and a door to anyone. We need everybody to agree in order to get the budget over the line. The difficulty is when people make declarations that take it or leave it, we don't agree with this and that. It's difficult, that one. But when we sit around the table and exchange, and we might actually find each other, and we engage government on the matters that are before us. So the window of engagement, not even a window, the door of talking should be opened. That is what we believe in as the African National Congress. We don't comment on people who are leaving our party. They've got their own reasons which they have articulated, and then those are their reasons. But for who they are and what they stand for, all we can say is that they've decided to betray the cause. They could not run the race to the full. They've decided to betray the cause for reasons better known to them, especially in the Western Cape. Anyone in the Western Cape who says he's leaving the ANC because DA is better and is saving the poor is not only delusional, is but disingenuous. It is a reflection on them, because they are living on untruths, and they will be haunted by that. So they will be haunted even by their conscience going forward. But we are not perturbed about it. Anyone have got the right to belong to any political party of their choice. And those are the dictates of our political and democratic system. And then any ambassador who come to your country will be subjected to Geneva Convention prescripts. And a country like ours is also guided by that. Individuals present their credentials to the state, and the president, through DERCO, accept or reject individuals. So that question is dependent on the state in terms of the prescripts of the Geneva Convention. As the ANC, we don't interfere with diplomats who come to our country and the choices governments make about who they send to different countries. It's not our call. We don't have a capacity, we don't have a standing, we don't have a local standing to pronounce on such matters. It is entirely a state matter. So that's it. Of course, as much as we can raise concerns about people who are not diplomats, about their political views before they become diplomats, it's a matter for another day. But once you become a diplomat, you are guided by certain prescripts, no longer about your political beliefs only. You are guided by diplomatic prescripts, but at the same time, you cease to be who you were before you became a diplomat. Representing a country is bigger than you yourself as an individual. So that's what is important.
Sunnyworld?
Thanks, Swadling Mawande from Sunnyworld. SG, well, maybe as part of your final answer, in terms of our own ambassador to the US now, how far is that process within the ANC, and what is the form of that process? Are you looking purely inside the ANC ranks, or are you doing it in the spirit of the gene? You've seen the likes of Helen Zille sort of indicating their interest in having the Tony Leons of this world as candidates into that particular position. How far is the process? What is the form in nature? Is it an ANC process or is it a GNU process? Two, the newspaper of this guy, Katazo, reported the other day that the EFF has indicated an interest to join the GNU? Have they engaged the ANC about that particular process? And if they have, what is the attitude of the ANC in terms of that, especially given their antagonism between them and the Democratic Alliance? Finally, on what you said about the things that are going to happen there, this leadership accountability survey, can you simplify it, SG, like you're talking to my 10-year-old son? I didn't understand it. I think you complicated it.
No, the leadership accountability survey is a resolution of conference. It's about the state of leadership of the ANC in the country at all levels, in terms of academic standing, but also in terms of who are these people, where they come from, the geographical spread of the ANC composition across, the gender standing of the ANC across, the youthfulness of the leadership of the ANC. There are sort of sweeping statements that are made from time to time about the leadership of the ANC, because you see one or two people all the time on television and you make a conclusion that is the state. So the survey gives us that real state of leadership of the ANC. It's called Leadership Accountability Survey. So we will share with the public that in terms of the leadership survey once it is processed by the NEC. The question about EFF, GNU has not collapsed. We are committed to the GNU. And in this particular instance, we have also read about the views of the EFF in the public and all of that. But the GNU has not actually collapsed. So we can't come to the discussion about the future of governance in the country when nothing has actually changed. So we still where we are in terms of the government of national unity. So as to whether or not we will work with the EFF or any other political party going into the future, we have invited the EFF to the GNU right from the inception. So there's never been an issue from our part about the rejection of the EFF, and it is the EFF that said they wouldn't participate for the reasons that they have provided, and they had the red lines in terms of the things that were non-negotiable on their part, and everybody else had their own non-negotiables. And then we said, as the ANC, we are moving in this direction. As much as there were many options on the table, we chose this one. And we've got reasons why we did that. We did that for South Africa. We did that for national interest. And we could have gone for a partnership with one or two political parties, but we decided to work with everybody. And for the best interest of South Africans. If people take themselves out of the process that seeks to embrace everyone else, it is their choice, not the ANC's choice. We remain committed. And we have said from the beginning that the GNU is not a melting pot. We've got parties from different backgrounds ideologically who have never worked together, will never work together going forward. But we have chosen South Africa over narrow party political interest. And that's what we have chosen. So we're still on that path. And the other one?
Replacement for Rasool.
The president will deal with that in government. It's not an ANC call. We have long deferred such matters to government. As much as you believe that the ANC deploys ambassadors and all of that, we too, like all others, we can make our own submissions to the president. We have given the president the sole and exclusive right to deal with the matters of deployment of diplomats of our country. That's why we must dispel the myth that diplomats are ANC people. There are many people from political parties, even now, in our foreign missions, who don't come from the ANC, who have served, who are serving others, and others have served, even from the DA. Tony Leon was an ambassador in Argentina. We can mention the list. Even before Tony Leon, there were others. So it has never been a focus on political. We look at government, we believe, must look at South Africans. who can serve us good as a country internationally. And that's what is important. Of course, you might find a lot of ANC people whom you know, some were former ministers who are actually deployed. That in itself, it is informed by the criteria the president employs to deploy people. But even before people are deployed, they are trained in our country as diplomats by Foreign Affairs. So that's what has actually happened.
I'm struggling, colleagues. There are lots of hands, and this is a doorstop. And I'm going to ask that we take all the hands all at once, and they are taken on condition they are succinct. This is just to manage the time of the Secretary General. I'll start with News 24.
Ms. Mbalula, Central News 24. About the membership card, what is the budget for it? Where's the money coming from? And also, is it really practical for Emakulu in what Nanyumuza Hill, considering the data cost, etc.? And also, with regards to Western Cape, why are you not intervening there? You lost award to the MK party recently, and there's other matters as well, but it's still at the centers of holding. Why is the ANC not intervening? Thank you.
The ANC does not just intervene by instinct. We support. We will be in the Western Cape to look at the state of organization and what support we need to do. We were in the Western Cape for January 8. The center does hold. Should the need arise that we need to support the province to beef it up one way or the other, it will arise from engagement with the province. The roof is not falling. It has fallen long time ago in the Western Cape when we lost to the DA. What is before us is a battle to win back the Western Cape for us. And that's what is important. So we don't just deal with snippets. Not just snippets, but incidents, rather, in terms of the Western Cape. We need to deal with matters holistically. And we will be in the Western Cape. We are working with the Western Cape to strengthen the ANC there. Membership is funded by its own members and funded by the party. So I don't understand this irritation that you raise all the time about ANC advances. You don't ask to others. We have now reached a point where we need to tell you that we declare the monies we get. And how we spend them, our books are open and audited. We are not running a fly-by-night political party. If you look at Gwen Ramkhupa, the Treasurer General, we have now finished the audit of our books. We are going to the second term as we present the annual report. We are running a tight ship here. So we declare to the IEC. Others don't declare. You don't torment them, even where they get their money from. The monies that come into the ANC we get, paying for salaries and everything, including improving our own situation of membership. We actually declare where we get money from. Membership cards and membership of the ANC is paid by members of the African National Congress as they contribute to membership subscriptions from time to time. That's what happens.
My sister?
Thank you very much. Great answer from News from Africa. It's here just to find out about the ANC's international outlook. Often in your discussions, you've had a framing of the world that seems to have sort of fallen on its head. You obviously wrote about how you perceive the US to be, and those threats have exacerbated. Would you advise government to concede to the US and to capitulate to the Trump administration to save trade relations, or what would be your advice in terms of government's drafting of your response to the Trump administration?
We wouldn't advise anyone to catapulate, for instance, on the question of our sovereignty. We don't know what Trump administration want from South Africa, except what we know in the public domain as the madness of AfriForum, which you all South Africans know that is a lie, is an unfounded fabrication. And that's all what we know. That Trump administration and the President of the United States seem to be convinced, and he says we're on the watch list because we're doing horrible things. And we've been addressed through X about these matters. So beyond that, we don't know. And then the center point around which the Trump administration is raising seem to be around Expropriation Act, which even the Americans have actually practiced. If Donald Trump, as a president of America, and his administration can sit with South Africa to understand where this Expropriation Act come from, opening up diplomatic channels, he will understand. But for them to act like policemen over us and watching over us is nothing else but neocolonialism. And then secondly, why imperialist aggression? Imperialist aggression is powerful countries that seek to dominate smaller economies and dictate what must happen in those economies. In South Africa, we are a sovereign state. We fought for it. And we are not about to become a branch of another state. And anyone who seeks to dictate what must happen here, like for instance, tell us we must not implement redress, that borders on our sovereignty and independence as a country. Now, these are things we fought for. Now, if you tell us as South Africa, you remind us of Ronald Reagan, you remind us of Margaret Thatcher, at the height of apartheid, which supported apartheid, and they were prevaricating about implementing economic sanctions against the apartheid regime. But through some grapevine and a lot of untruths, a government of Trump is considering a lot of things against us based on lies. We are a democratic state. We are free. We are free. We fought for it. We're supported by nations. We're supported by Americans, including in America, in the anti-apartheid movement. Americans who come to our country in and out, some come to sing in concerts and all of that, they've never been subjected to brutality. And South Africans themselves can attest the notion, so-called quote-unquote genocide, it's a fallacy that we dismiss with the contempt it deserves. South Africa must preserve its trade relations, we believe, with America, because we need America, America needs us. Maybe we need America more than they need us in terms of trade relations. We don't believe that those trade relations must fall apart based on lies. That's not what we believe in. What I'm stating is an ANC position with regard to a number of things that are happening globally, and our position on the question of how we view the world today. Rules-based system, multilateralism, that's what guides the African National Congress. And we've been back and forth with Americans, including here at home, in terms of how they view our resolutions when it comes to the United States. And that's why we're opposed to Brigetti when he also come up with the madness that we got arms from Russia. Actually, we're supplying arms to Russia. That was the charge, which we have dispelled by way of investigating that and presenting a report to South Africa and to everybody else that there is no such. Because it started with the Biden administration. It's now on steroids with the Trump administration, targeting South Africa. And we believe that this targeting is not only us who are falling victims into this. There is a particular agenda that is being driven. And that is what we're going to be discussing here. Because you talk about us, there is Greenland, there is Canada, there is Europe in the mix. You know, there is China, and then there is us. Yeah. What have we done? So we are told these are the things that we have done and so on. So we can't capitulate on things that are not clearer. But if we were to capitulate on selling out our sovereignty, the ANC will stand against that, because that borders on aggression, imperialist aggression, that borders on undermining our sovereignty. And we will stand up, and we must, as we should, as a nation, that the freedom we fought so hard is about to be taken away from us in a manner in which it is actually happening.
Colleagues, I'll have to say thank you very much.